All right, let's start by talking about some dev textures or developer textures. Textures that are really going to help you as you create objects, brushes that are common within Half-Life 2, Counter-Strike, Day of Defeat. Things like desks and stairs, doors, buttons. So if we just create just a standard object here, any size you want really at this point, just make it solid. Go into your texture tool and browse for DEV, or developer. And there's quite a lot, different ones for different purposes, including some bumps and general, just kind of generic stuff. But we're going to head down about midway through the list and look for this group of orange dev textures. These are really useful. What these are actually textures that are sized appropriately for commonly used items in your different games. So you have a computer screen and its keyboard, the height for a counter, different sizes for crates, things that are going to match with materials. So with other materials, these will just kind of guide you as you're building your geometry, your brushes, and then you can apply the appropriate material which will line up. So if you had something like a 32 by 32 crate, we could use that. As you go down, there's also just some generic textures, some orange and gray, kind of measured with the grid textures you can use. Usually a good way to start a level, just build your entire level using these generic textures. Then when you're built most of your geometry, you can go back and actually do the texturing so you don't get carried away with it as you're building your geometry. Because really you want to make sure each element of your map, the geometry, the textures, the functionality, everything could stand well alone. So you can see we have common railings and stairs which you use in the game, ladders if you want to make your own brush ladders, and buttons, so keypads, button pads, switches, and even the height, so your common height of a character, which could help you out a lot. So you can see how they work. Let's do just a crate, one of the basic ones, to show you how it is. Double click and apply. Yep, get our camera in there so we can take a look. And you can see here, we're probably on the wrong side here for one, but you see the 32 by 32 crate tiled, 10 times or something across this. So grab our object. And obviously a 32 by 32 crate, you don't want to be 320 by 256 units. So what these do is allow you to say, okay, 32 by 32, just going to go right down there, zoom in, shrink my grid so I can actually line up to 32. Just boink, boink. I mean, she'll shrink if you want there. And it's going to be 32 high. 32. We can actually just Control E to get in here and slide ourselves in. Now when we look at our texture, you'll see, whoa, look at that. Actually is lined up, especially if you get off there, you'll see the white edges tell you this is right. So now if we were to go back and apply a crate texture, so if we search for crate, you actually get the dev textures right next to it. But you see, here we go, our standard crate, apply that guy, boom. Everything's perfect there. It's aligned right on the edges. We don't have to shift. We don't have to scale. So anyway, I mean, you can see how that really helps out when you're making buttons or you're creating stairs or railings and such. So really useful dev textures, which you can use as you're creating geometry.